So today we will start the new chapter, right? Fourth chapter, inequalities, right? And simultaneous inequalities. We try to cover all of them. It will not be detailed though, but we will try our best, okay? Fourth chapter, inequalities, and simultaneous equations, inequalities, right? So first topic of the first chapter is linear inequalities. Before to start that, we have to know the definition of inequalities. All of the properties for equation remains for inequalities, okay? All of the properties of equation will be applied. Actually, this extended version of equations, okay? Inequalities are the extended versions of equations. So what is inequality? We have defined equation, right? Equation is an inequality of equality containing some unknown numbers, right? And what is inequality? The definition of inequality: A greater than B means the positivity of A minus B, okay? A greater than B means the positivity of A minus B, okay? This is the definition of inequality. So before turning to linear inequalities, we have to make sure that you know how to do operations on inequalities. So there are this symbol means inequality symbol, okay? So there are four types of inequality symbols: this and this, this and this. Okay, what does it mean? A greater than B. We have some number that is greater than the other, right? Let's say 5 is greater than 3. And this symbol says A, let's say less than B, it means 2 less than 5. Here you can say 2 is less than 5, or you can say 5 is greater than 2, or B is greater than A is less than B, okay? They are the same. It means you can change it to, so they are the same. B greater than A, okay? B greater than A, and here you also have A less than B, okay? They are the same. Okay, what this inequality symbol means: here you don't have equality sign, here you have equality. A greater than or equal to B means A is greater than B, and at the same time A is equal to B, okay? A might be equal to B, or A is greater than B, okay? This symbol contains two things within, okay? The first one is included on top of that. This is extended by equality sign, okay? A is less than or equal to B. What does it mean? The same with this one, okay? A is less than B, and at the same time A is equal to B, okay? It is equal, or A is less than B. If you understood the symbols and inequality, yes? All of you? Okay, first one, this one. If A is greater than B and B is greater than C, it means our A is greater than C, right? If you have some number that is greater than the other, and the other number is greater than another number, then it means that another number is less than the first one, okay? For example, 5 is greater than 2, and 2 is greater than minus 1. So definitely 5 is greater than minus 1, right? Yes? Let's look at the second one. A is greater than B. Then you have some positive number of C. You can multiply that C to both sides, so your sign will not change, okay? This is a sign of inequality, right? We have used to say symbol, it's sign, okay? A is greater than B, and AC will stay being greater than BC when your C is positive, okay? So the sign will not change. So alternative of this is A greater than B. If your C is negative, if you multiply C to both sides, you have to change the sign, okay? If you have equality sign here, it appears here too. If you have equality, so you will have here too, okay? If you understood it? Thus, if your C is negative, for example, 5 is greater than 3, and if your C is minus 1, if you multiply to minus 1, your sign will change. Minus 5 is less than minus 3. correct? It satisfies itself, right? So if your C is negative, you change the sign. If your C is positive, the sign will stay as it is, okay? Yes? So, okay, let's look at fourth one. A greater than B, and you have some C. That is real number, okay? If you add or subtract C to both sides, nothing will change, okay? Actually it changed, but sign will not change, okay? A plus C will stay greater to B than B plus C. Or A minus C will stay to be greater than B minus C. Okay? So, fifth one. So your C does not have to be positive or negative. Okay? It just has to be a real number, some real number. So you add or subtract, your sign will stay as it is. A greater than B, you can raise both sides to nth power, your sign will not change, an greater than bn. For example, 2 greater than 1, you can raise it both sides to 5th power, 32 will stay to be greater than 1. Right? So the same alternative to this, A greater than B, you can take nth root from both sides, so nothing changes. Sign will not change, okay? So 2 is greater than 1, you take 5th root, let's say, so it's satisfied, right? Under the root of 5, so index of the root is 5, and under the root you have 2, it will be greater than 1, right? It's 1 point something that is greater than 1 itself, right? So this was the introduction for inequalities. Have you understood it? Let's do some operations, exercises. Let's look at the first exercise. A part. So you are given A is less than B, B less than C, D is greater than C, D greater than C. So the first one, A, is saying D minus C is greater than D minus B. There is a cancellation. So we have told you that inequalities, yes, are the continuation of equations, right? So there was, in equations we could cancel them out, right? In inequalities, the same property could be applied. So minus C greater than minus B, and let's multiply it by minus 1 using this property. Okay, if you multiply both sides by a negative number, so the signs will change, right? So let's change the signs. Your C is less than B, right? Is it true? No, your C should be greater than B, right? Thus here you have come to the operation saying that your C is less than B. So it is incorrect, okay? Let's look at B part. D minus C less than B minus A. What about this one?
We can't eliminate.
You can eliminate. Okay, you cannot eliminate.
Yes,
because they are different, right? So what about D? Is D greater than B?
No.
So here you can add C, right? And you can add D because these operations could be added there, right? So B minus C, B minus A. Is D greater than B?
No, it's less.
Is D greater than B?
Yes.
Yes. It is greater than C. You see? D is great. Oh, okay, we are talking about this part first. D greater than C, so it means it's positive, right? What about B minus A? It's also positive. So we cannot conclude here. It depends on the numbers. Yes? It depends on the numbers. So it might be satisfied, but sometimes it might not be satisfied. So it's asking, consider the real numbers, which of the following is always true? So it might be or it might not be, okay? Let's look at C part then. Let's not hurry to conclude here. D minus B greater than D minus A. So there is cancellation, minus B greater than minus A, so B is less than A. Is it true? Your B is less than A. Is it true? No, right? A is actually less than B, right? Let's look at D part. D minus B less than D minus A. What about this part? Minus B less than minus A. Your B is greater than A.
Yes.
It is true, right? So this is the answer that we are looking for, okay? Yes? Have you understood it?
Yes.
Do you have any questions, guys? Any questions from this part? So here we have more formulas saying A greater than B, C greater than D, and A, B, C, D. All of them are positive, okay? All of them are positive. In that case, you can multiply them. Okay? If A, B, C, D, all of the terms of inequality, simultaneous linear inequality, right? If they are, all of them are positive, so we can multiply A to C, A multiplied by C. Sign will stay, okay? To this side. Thus, B multiplied by D. If you understood it, if one of the terms is negative, you cannot multiply them, okay? All of them should be positive. Yes? Let's say 2 is greater than 3, minus 5 is less than minus 4. Can we multiply them?
No.
Now, can we do some operations that make them to multiply
Yes.
one another? Yes? Which operation can we make?
We should first equation to multiply.
Okay, now here you cannot multiply first inequality to second one. Why? Because you have negative terms here. You have to bring them to positive level, right? So to bring them positive, let's multiply it by minus 1. It becomes 5 less than 4. Can you multiply now?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Because equalities is
Yes,
different.
inequalities differ, right?
Yes.
2 is greater than 3, 4 less than 5. Actually, it is not, right? 4 is not less than 5. So it should be like that, right? Now you can multiply. Yes? It's incorrect too.
But we can just
So,
replace them.
can you multiply now?
No, no.
No, right? So, there is no multiplication, right? If you want to multiply. 5 is greater than 4, 3 is greater. Or, you can do like that. Look, you can do 3 greater than 2. Yes, you just change their places. 3 greater than 2 and 5 is greater than 4. If you multiply or combine them, you're gonna get 15 greater than 8. Yes? Now you can multiply. You see? So,
If all would be negative.
so to multiply them, if some terms are negative, you can use the 6 formulas, 6 properties to bring them, to make them to multiply one another, okay? So, have you understood it?
No, this one I
This one?
yes, yes, yes. How you do?
2 is less than 3, and 3 is greater than 2. Yes, simple operation. We are just changing the places. Questions? Do you have any questions?
If all would be negative.
If all would be negative, so you multiply this by minus 1, 2. Yes? No questions, right? Let's continue then. So linear inequality is being continuous. Okay, write it down. Done?
How's that? What's much more?
What sort of shit?
Yeah,
You are late, right?
He's joking.
That joker. Linear inequalities. Okay. X is greater than 1. We have such numbers, set of numbers, right? That is greater than 1. What does it mean? We have such numbers,
Two,
such,
three.
that is greater than 1. They can be 2, 3, 4, 5, till infinity, right? Or they can be under the root of 2, under the root of 5. Yes? Infinite numbers are here, right? Yes? The quantity cannot be measured here. But you can give them as a solution of intervals. First of all, this is x, right? So let's write that x, 1 greater than 1, right? Some x numbers that is greater than 1. So you have to draw it to identify the interval. So it's greater than 1 means your x falls within the interval starting from 1 till infinity, okay? So if your x, let's say x plus 2 less than or equal to 2x minus 5, so how can you solve it? We have already told you that equation operations are extended in inequalities. So you do the same what you have done for equations 2x minus x, x greater than or equal to 7, right?
Just okay.
Yes? So you draw again to identify your interval. You have 7. So if you have equality sign here, you have to include that 7, okay? So you shade that circle, okay? Here you left it as open, right? So it's open. But here you shade because you have equality sign here. Your x is greater than or equal to 7, meaning that your x falls within the interval starting from 7 till infinity, 7 included, okay? So what about this one? X minus 5 over 3.
But there is bracket is difference between.
So for infinity, infinity cannot be included because you never know that number, okay? You never know what is infinity number. But you know that 7 is 7, right? 7 should be included. You always put that bracket for infinity sign, okay? If you include 7, you put rectangular bracket. If you are not gonna include that number, so you put ordinary bracket, okay? If you include, if you equality sign, you shade the region, okay? Shade the circle and put rectangular sign. So x minus, let's say 2x minus 5 divided by 3 is less than or equal to 0. So it's 0. So you multiply 3 by this side, so it becomes 0, right? 5, 2x less than or equal to 5, your x is less than or equal to 2.5. How will I draw it? So you just first draw 2.5, and let's shade that region, that circle. Our x are such numbers, set of numbers, okay? Such set of numbers that are less than 2.5. So your x falls within the interval starting from minus infinity, you see? From minus infinity till 2.5. 2.5 included, so you put rectangular bracket. Yes? Easy? Yes, it's easy.
Not really.
But where is 3?
3?
Yes.
Okay, 3 multiplied by 0 gives us 3. Right? You are multiplying to positive number, so your sign will not change. What about this part? 5 minus 2x over minus 3 is less than or equal to 0. What about this? If you multiply minus 3 to other side, so what's gonna happen? So it's gonna be 0, it's definitely, but the sign should change, okay? Because you are multiplying both sides by minus 3, right? Your C is negative, you see? If your C is negative, so your sign will change, right? It should be changed. You are multiplying both sides by minus 3. So 5 minus 2x now is greater than or equal to 0. Right?
Yes.
And if you continue, your 2x will be in another side and you divide both sides by 2. 2.5 is still greater than or equal to x, which gives us the same interval, okay? Yes? If you understood it, Jawab? Not all of them? Actually, you have not all of them. 2 problems, 3 problems. Okay, let's see more problems here. 12x 5a part, okay? Page number 30. 12x is less than 5, 2x plus 4. Let's divide both sides. Okay, actually let's open the bracket. 12x less than 10x plus 20. So 2x is less than 20. If you divide both sides by 2, x is less than 10. It means your x falls within the interval starting from minus infinity till 10. Your graph may be in that form, okay?
It's very interesting. Yes.
Interesting?
Yes.
Are you interested?
Well, it is.
Okay. Let's look at 8. Задача вернее. The formula for converting a temperature from degrees Fahrenheit to degrees of Celsius. So Celsius gives us 5/9 Fahrenheit minus 32. So this formula is used to convert some Fahrenheit to Celsius, okay? Gradus ikki xil o'lchangan, Fahrenheitda va gradusda. Aziz needs, not Laziz, okay? Aziz needs to store some food in a refrigerator at temperature between 0 and 4. So your temperature is between 0 and 4. 0 and 4. What range of temperature in degrees Fahrenheit would be suitable? So here you have C. For C, the formula is given. Let's replace C with that formula, okay? So it's gonna be 0, starting from 0 till 5/9 Fahrenheit minus 32 less than 4 grads of Celsius, right? So this is double inequality, right? It is close to double equation. Here we have double inequality, so it's in the range. If you multiply both sides by 9 and divide both sides by 5, what will your result be? So here you have 0, right?
0.
Yes. If you multiply 0 by 9 and divide by 5, it's 0, right? 0 Celsius. Fahrenheit minus 32 less than 4 multiplied by 9.
36.
36 divided by 5. 7.2. 7.2, right? So here we don't have right. 7.2 grads Celsius. So you add 32 to both sides now. 32 Fahrenheit and 32 plus 7.2, 39.2 Fahrenheit, right? So in Celsius, you are given from 0 till 4. In Fahrenheit, you have to use these measures, okay? From 32 till 39.2. For refrigerator, you don't have Celsius. This refrigerator shows Fahrenheit, okay? But you don't know the Fahrenheit, so you use the formula and find what interval should be provided for Fahrenheit when your target for Celsius range from 0 to 4, okay? More questions from this? No questions?
What's mean Fahrenheit? Fahrenheit. What's mean?
Fahrenheit? Okay, it's close to Celsius. Просто gradusga o'xshagan narsa, xolodilnikda Celsius ham bo'lishi mumkin, Fahrenheit ham bor ekan bularda. Azizlarni qanaqa qiladi? Okay? Yes.
32 we multiply the 7.2.
So no, just add it, okay? Because it's minus 32, you add plus 32, okay? You add 32 to both sides. Can we erase? Yes?
Yes.
Quite interesting, right?
No, I mean not this. I mean this one.
Okay. Now you can erase, right? This was 4.1. Let's turn to 4.2.
The last question.
Yes.
So when we change the equalities, we only we change the equalities when we changing the numbers. Yes.
Which number, you mean?
For example, minus 3 greater than minus 5, and with
Minus 3 is greater than minus 5.
yes, yes.
So if you multiply both sides by minus 1, you change the signs. That's true.
Only this one. Only
Yes,
So
only
you
when
bet-
your C is negative, okay? If your C is positive, if you multiply by 2, let's say minus 6 stays, the sign stays as being greater than minus 10, right? If your C is positive, so the sign stays. Islam, what is happening over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Других случаях мы не меняем, да?
So it depends on C. Okay? Let's turn to 4.2, simultaneous, linear inequalities. So, the general form for simultaneous linear inequalities are in the format of a1x plus b1y plus c1, let's say greater than or equal to 0, a2x plus b2y plus c2 is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, they are given like in that format. So in equations, you had equality signs here. Do you remember? You have equality signs. Here we have inequality signs, okay? So, how to solve them? Let's start from the scratch. X squared minus x is less than 0. Here you have interval. X is greater than 3, x is less than 7. So we have such x that is at the same time is greater than 3 and at the same time is less than 7. Because it's simultaneous. Simultaneous means they should be satisfied at the same time, right? And both of them are linear. Because we are covering linear inequalities as being simultaneous, right?
But we know 4, 5, 6.
And you are incorrect. Why? Because I have told you that it's gonna be in interval, right? Within the interval. Let's draw it first. X, 3 and 7. Let's write 7 and 3. Your x is greater than 3, right? Over here. And your x is at the same time less than 7. And what is a common for both intervals? Common interval.
4.
It's between 3 till 7, right? Here we have infinite numbers. Many numbers, right? Here you have, let's say, 3.5, 3.8, 3.9, and here you might have 5 point something, right? If you say 4, 5, 6, it means you are only talking about natural numbers within this interval, right? So don't get confused. You have to present your answer as a form of intervals, okay? This is inequality, so you find it as intervals. Have you understood? Yeah. X is less than 3, x is greater than or equal to 3. What about this? Let's draw. Here we have 3. 3x is less than 3. And we have x, which is included and greater than 3. So, what is your solution?
3.
Minus infinity till 3.
So, it should be common for both of them, from below and from the top, right? From upper or from lower sides, right? Lower intervals. From here and here. What is a common? 3. Is 3 included for the first one?
No.
No, it's not included. So 3 is not common for them, right? So what is common for them?
Minus infinity till plus infinity.
No, they are not common. If you combine them, if you have these operations, then what you are talking about will be correct. But this is simultaneous, okay? This means union, okay? Union means you combine them, okay? Union. This is simultaneous operation, meaning intersection. Intersection gives you common of them, okay? Where union should be, as it says, union, okay? You just combine them. If you are using union operation, so what you are talking about will be correct. From minus infinity till infinity, it means x is any number, right? But here, do you have any common interval for this intersection? 0. 0? 0 is included for the first one only. For the second, it's not greater than 3, you see?
Only 3.
Minus 3 maybe.
No,
1.
you don't have any, okay?
Ah.
You don't have any. Don't guess, guys. Just say we don't know. Okay? So let's continue. In total here you have 6 questions. Okay, let's see 3 or 5 of them. A, x minus 3 greater than 2x minus half. It's not half, it's 1. X plus 3 less than 3x minus 2. How to solve them? 2x minus x, x is less than minus 2, and at the same time 2x is greater than 5. Let's divide both sides by 5 for the second one. Your x is less than minus 2, and your x is greater than 2.5. Do you have such a number? Z is less than minus 2 and greater than 2.5.
No.
No, you don't have such a number, right?
Yes.
So it means your x is at the same time less than minus 2 and 2.5 greater than. So there is no intersection, you see? No solution is defined. No interval is defined. So let's look at second. This was from second A part of the exercise. Let's look from homework, okay? Second, minus x minus 5 is less than minus 2x minus 2, and minus 2x plus 2 is greater than or equal to 3 minus 3x. You bring minus 2x to the other side, saying x is less than 3, right? And 2x, if 3x minus 3x is brought to another side, you've got the x over here in the left side is greater than or equal to 1. So your x is less than 3 and it's greater than 1. It means your x falls within the interval starting from 1 till 3, right? Or you can represent it in graphical way, saying 3, x is less than 3, right? It's less than 3. And you have such x that's greater than 1 and 1 included, right? So what is the common interval then? 3 is not included, okay? From 1 till 3, 1 included. 3 excluded, okay? From 1 till 3. How many natural numbers are included? 2. 2, okay? What is the sum of their natural numbers? 3. 3, okay? You can make operation. So we are done with 4.2. Let's turn to 4.3, nonlinear. Nonlinear inequalities. So here you're gonna face method of intervals. But before that, let's look at some of the exercise. X squared is greater than 0. Can you provide some interval for them? You see it's non-linear, right?
Yes.
It's squared. It has lost its linearity format. X squared is greater than 0.
2.
2, only 2?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay, tell me the interval, okay? This is inequality.
Infinite?
Infinity till 0.
Okay, the square of the number is always greater than 0, right? It's always greater, except when x is 0. If it's 0, it will not be greater, it will be equal to 0, right? So, do you have any equality sign here? No, it means you take x as any number except 0. So, how will you represent it? In x, you have all of the numbers taken except 0. How do you represent it? X includes all of the numbers starting from minus until 0, right? And union from 0 till infinity. Okay? All of the numbers except 0. We have not included 0 here, you see? So, let's say x squared minus x is greater than 0. And before that, less. 1 over x is less than 0. So 1 is always positive, right? For the fraction to be negative, denominator should be negative. So we create negative number here, right? So it says less than 0, it's negative number, right? So your x should be
Minus.
negative, right? It means x falls within the interval starting from minus infinity till 0, right? What about this one? 1 over x squared is less than or equal to 0?
0.
Your x should include 0.
Yes, because it's
So it is positive, right? Always. 1 is always positive, right? It's defined, it's constant, right? It does not depend on any expressions of x, right? It's not a function of x. Here you have x squared, which is always positive, right? So positive number, if you divide, you never get negative number, right? But here you have equality sign. Can you equalize it this side to 0? Can you equalize? How? How? Scroll. How will they equalize this side to 0?
To multiply by 0.
Is that allowed? Okay. Here we have written that c is greater than or less than 0, right? Do you remember c is greater than 0 or c less than 0? We have not included 0 here, right? It's not allowed. If you multiply both sides by 0, so there is no use of it. Okay? So, if x squared is less than or equal to 0, what will the solution of this be?
X
So it's always positive. It might be equal to 0, but is always positive, right? It's never less than 0. It might be equal to, so x squared equals to 0, it means x equals to 0, right? This will be only solution in the method of intervals. You can use this prime, okay? To include only single number. Curly brackets are used. So it means x equals to 0 only, okay? This is interval that contains only 0. This bracket is used. Okay, what about this part? Here you have no solutions. Why? Positive, positive, positive over positive is always positive, not negative, right? Not negative. So it cannot be equal to 0, because for bringing this fraction to 0, you should have 0 over here, not 1, okay? So, let's continue. 3 minus 2x squared greater than 2x plus. So there is a cancellation of x's, 3's, right? 2x squared plus 2x is less than 3. And let's take 2x out of the bracket, you are left with x plus 1 less than 0. So you have brought this exercise, right, this problem, into factors of x, right? Factors, they are called factors, right? So how to solve? Now here you have an introduction to nonlinear inequality general format using method of intervals, okay? You will solve it using the method of intervals. So how to solve it? So first case, you have to have 0 in another side and all of the things to other side. Yes? To use the method of intervals, you have to meet some conditions. First, you have to 0 in one side and another side you only have to x's, y's, unknowns, okay? It's the first case, first condition. Next condition, you have to bring them into factors, okay? So 2 of them are satisfied here, right? So you can use method of intervals. How to use them? You will equalize each factor to 0, minus 1 and 0, right? And write that numbers on x, right? Number of x's. Then if they are included, you will include. Now here you don't have equality sign, you will not include them. And you use a method of intervals. You have 3 intervals here, right? 3 intervals in total. 1, 2, 3. First, you have to define their sign. If it's positive, you put plus. If it's negative, you put minus. Okay? How to define that number? So you take any number, that sign. Okay? You take any number greater than 0. Let's take 5. Okay? You can take any. You can take 100. Let's take 100. 101 multiplied by 100 multiplied by 2 is always positive, right? So you take plus sign. You take another number from here, it's negative. You take another number from here, it's positive. Okay? Plus, minus, plus. So you are asked about which sign? Which sign? Less than 0 means negative ones, right? Yes? Negative ones. Your x is within the interval starting from minus 1 till. Okay? To check whether we are correct, you can take any number from here, let's say minus half, and put over here. Okay? Minus 0.5 squared 0.25 multiplied by 0.5 minus 0.5 here. Yeah, minus 0.5 greater than minus 0.5 multiplied by 2 is minus 1. Minus 1 is always greater than minus 0.5. If you add 3 to both sides, you get here 2.5. 2.5 is greater than 2, right? Yes? If you have found and unsure about the interval you have found, you can check. Okay? Take any number from the interval and check. Okay? So let's continue. Let's start x minus 1 squared and x plus 3 cubed. Less than or equal to 0. So this is 3, b part. This was 1, first one, c part. So how to solve it? Can we use method of intervals? Can we use the method of intervals? So here we have factors, right? Here we have 0. And what was the condition? What was the next step actually?
1.
So you just divide x into by the numbers that make these brackets, that factors equal to 0, right? Minus 3, 1, 0, right? So it is 0, 1. So we have divided into how many intervals? 1, 2, 3, 4 intervals, right? Let's take any number. Here we have equality sign. Let's talk about equality sign. Can we include minus 3? So it's in denominator. It cannot be equal to 0, right? It's in denominator. So you exclude this number. 0 could be included and 1 also could be included. If you put 0 here, so 0 over some number, irrespective of this number, makes all of them equal to 0. 0 is not less than but equal to 0, okay? So they are included, that's why. Let's take some number greater than 1. Is it positive or negative?
It will be positive.
It will be positive. What about this interval?
Negative.
Are you sure?
Positive, negative, positive.
Have you checked it? No? If you take 0.5, 0.5 minus 0, minus 1 is 0.5 is negative number, right? If you square it, it becomes positive, right? Positive and 0.5 is also positive, positive multiplied will be positive, and in minus you have also positive. Positive over positive is positive, right? So it's plus.
All of this plus.
So here you have plus. What about this part? Let's take minus 2. Do you have such number from here? In this interval, minus 2. Let's take minus 2, minus 2, minus 1. Actually, square is always positive, right?
Yes.
Minus 2 multiplied by plus, it's negative. So minus 2, here 1, 1 cubed is 1, right? So positive number. Minus over plus, it means minus. Yes? What about this part? Minus 5. Let's take minus 5. Over here.
Minus.
Plus and
Minus
minus 5. Plus.
Plus sign, right? Yes, it's plus.
Yes.
So you are asking about
Equal.
positives or negatives?
Positives.
Positives.
Less
No, no,
than 0
less than-
means
negative, negative.
negative, right?
Negative, yes.
So the only interval is x includes from minus 3 till 0. Okay, what about this number? What
From
about
1.
this? 1.
From 1 and
To the
Okay, we are asking about negative. Here we have positivity. Okay, we cannot take these intervals, that's for sure. But what about 1? 1 is between, right? In between. What about 1 then?
simultaneous.
Yes, you're gonna include it as this one, right? Like this one. Union 1 itself. Okay.
One itself, yes.
Have you understood it? Okay, guys. How to avoid checking these signs? How to avoid? Because it takes time, right?
Yes.
If you have like 8 numbers, you have to check 9 times, right? If you have 3 numbers, you have checked for 4 numbers. So how to avoid it? How to avoid it? That is x squared, let's say, x minus 5 on the power of 25. No. Over x squared plus 1, x cubed minus 1 equals inequality greater than or equal to 0. How to solve it? Can we use method of intervals?
Yes.
Yes, you can, right? First, you have to lay some logical conditions, okay? Some logical conditions.
0,
X square is always positive, right? So you can drop it. But bear in mind that it's equal to 0, right? So you take that conditions. O'zini tashlamaysiz, condition olishingiz kerak, okay? X square ni tashlab yuboramiz, lekin 0 ga tengligini olamiz. Because you have equality sign here, right? So what about this 25? Oh my god. Yes?
No, it will be negative.
it will be positive.
Yeah,
No, negative because it's нечетное.
You're talking about this side?
Yes.
It can be negative, it can be positive. It depends on x.
Yes.
Yeah,
If
No,
your x is
if
greater than 5, then it will be positive. If it's less than 5, it will be negative.
It will be negative.
negative.
Okay, let's
Yes.
not discuss whether x minus 5 on the power of 25 is negative or positive. Let's drop 24 exponent, okay? Let's drop 24 of them. Let's keep only one of them, okay? Because we know that 24 of them will be positive, right?
yes.
And let's take x minus 5 itself, okay? We are not dropping it fully. We are keeping x minus 5, so we don't touch to the condition, okay? Because the condition is included here, okay? Over x squared plus 1. What about this one? It is always positive. Because x squared is positive. If you add it, will be always greater than or equal to 1, right? So you drop it. Can we take any conditions? So it's in denominator. You should take saying x squared plus 1 is not equal to 0. So is there any meaning from this condition? It's always greater than 1, right? It can be equal when x equals to 0. But it's never equal to 0, right? So this condition is useless. Okay? Let's talk about this part. X cubed minus 1.
It will be
Negative.
positive and it can be 0.
So here you have cubic. Let's use short multiplication formula. Right? X minus 1. X squared plus x plus 1. So you can keep x minus 1 here. Let's discuss this part. X squared plus x plus 1.
It will be positive
Positive.
It will be positive. How did you decide?
because the all.
No. It does not depend on that.
Because
Here
it's
you have
square.
x. If your x is negative.
Because it's square.
So it is square, right? If it's square, if it's square, you cannot conclude saying that it's always positive because you have rest of the terms that might bring it to negativity. Okay. The point here is not in that square. Okay. Actually, if you have some square quadratic equation here, right? It's quadratic one. We used to have to bring them into factors, right? Because for using method of intervals, all of them should be in factors, and they should hold the linearity form. Okay, first. Here I have second power. So to bring it into the factors, you have to calculate the discriminant with respect of x. This discriminant is minus 1 minus 1, right? 1 minus 4, which is negative. So the discriminant here is negative.
It's not
You have
equal
no
to 0.
solution. You have no solution from here. From the topic of functions, it says that it is always greater than 0. Okay? Function. Okay? If your parabola is parabola, right? For the ones who know it, for the ones who does not know it, please bear in mind that if your discriminant is less than 0, it means your quadratic equation is always positive. Okay? If your A is positive. So if your A is positive, your parabola will look upwards, right? So for any number of x, so it does not cut x-axis, at least will not touch, because your discriminant is negative, you have no solutions when this parabola is intersected with the axis of x. Okay? So it means for any number of x, you take the values of y to be greater than 0, okay? Positive. So it lays above x-axis if your A is positive. If your A is negative, it will be always negative, okay? So it means this is always positive, so you can draw. Okay? Where formula kept x minus 5 over x minus 1 greater than or equal to 0 with the condition of x being equal to 0. How to solve it now?
By interval.
Using the method of intervals, yes.
5
Okay. 1, 5, plus, minus, plus, right? Greater than means plus sides. So for this equality, you equalize it to 5. For this, you don't take because it's in denominator, and you have 0 that has to be included, right? So your interval starts from minus infinity till 1. So this is 1, right? So your 0 is there. It's there, right? Your 0 is 0. So it starts from minus infinity till 1. 0 is itself included, right? We don't need actually this condition then. From minus infinity till 1, from 5 till infinity. Okay? Have you understood it? Jawab? Yes. Can we erase this part?
No, no, no.
No, one.
Yes, can we?
Yes.
Let's look at the last exercise of this topic. From homework, second. Page number 33. Second from homework. X squared minus 13x plus 36 over x4 plus 25 less than or equal to 0. Okay, how to solve it? First of all, you have fourth power, you have second power. You have to bring them into linearity format, right? To use before using method of intervals. So x4 plus 25 is always positive. x4 is always positive. It means x4 plus 25 is always greater than 5 or equal to 25, right? It's greater than or equal to 25. It means it's positive. You can leave. No condition has to be provided because it's always greater than 25 and it will not be equal to 0. That is in the denominator. So you are left with this part being less than or equal to 0 only. Let's bring them into brackets. How will they bring it into brackets? Yes?
X.
Okay, it starts x, right?
Yes, yes.
What about sorry, six?
Minus 4.
Minus 9
Yes.
equals to 0. So we use the method of intervals. 4, 9. You can draw like that, or you can draw like that. It matters less, okay? Here's our method. Plus, minus, plus. You are asking about
The negatives.
negative ones, right? So your x includes, so they have to be shaded because you have equality sign here. From 4 till 9, right? So if you are asked about the product of the natural solutions of this interval, what it gonna be? What's gonna be? Your solution?
Can you repeat this?
Yes. Product, okay? Product of natural, let's say natural solutions. What product means?
Multiply.
Multiplication, right?
Yes.
So, this is your interval of the solutions, right? What are the natural solutions here? 2? 3?
5, 6.
Okay, starting from 4. 4 included, do you see? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers in
Yes,
total.
six.
6 natural numbers are included to the interval, okay? This is your solution. So you are asking about product, you just multiply it, okay?
What?
Yes. Or you can say this 9 factorial, right? Over 3 factorial. Yes? What is 9 factorial? It is numbers starting from 1 till 9 multiplied over numbers starting from 1 till 3 multiplied. Okay? That's the solution. If you understood the topic, can we erase that part too? Can we reset it? We are done with 4.3 and 4.42, right? We have not covered 4.4 yet. 4.4, simultaneous nonlinear inequalities.
I've just covered it.
Yes? What was that? We have covered nonlinear inequalities, okay? This was nonlinear inequalities, what we have covered. Here you are provided simultaneous nonlinear inequalities. We have covered linear inequalities and simultaneous linear. And we have covered simultaneous linear inequalities. Now we are reaching to nonlinear format of simultaneous inequalities, okay? It is the last. Are you counting the topics? So, under the root of x greater than or equal to 0. What is the interval that should be provided here?
We should choose grade.
To square both sides, you mean?
Yes.
So it's obvious that the root operation will never bring negative number out of the root, right? Except complex numbers, but you don't need it right now. We are talking about real numbers, okay? And the root of x is always greater than or actually equal to 0, right? So x includes all of the real numbers. Yes? And the root of x is less than or equal to 0. So it's always positive. Yes? Or equals to 0. So here you ask to find the value of x intervals, meaning that x equals to 0. Why? Because this root is always greater than or equal to 0. So if you intersect these two simultaneous, let's say simultaneous nonlinear inequalities, so you get x being equal to 0, right? This is the intersection point for them. Yes? Have you understood it, Malika? So? What does it mean?
50-50.
And the root of x plus, let's talk about fifth root of x greater than or equal to 0. So,
X quality real numbers.
no. Why? Because here you have index of 2. If they are even indexes, if they have even indexes, so it should be always positive, right? If you have odd index, you don't have such condition. You just take x greater than or equal to 0. Okay? İldizler mavusda bor edi-ku. Agar ildiz 2 ni bo'lsa, bu yerda x bo'lsa, shunda bu har doim pozitiv bo'ladi. Barobar b desak, x is positive and your b is positive. B is positive, okay? If you have root 2n plus 1 and x here and equals to, let's say, b, your x should be, actually it does not depend on your x and b should be real numbers. Yes? Bu ildiz mavzusidan bo'ladi. Agar ildiz mavzusini bilmasangiz, ularni avval takrorlash kerak, to'ldirish kerak. Ildizni bilmasangiz, mana bunda qiynalasiz. Okay? So, have you understood it?
Yes.
Yes? Are you sure? Farangis? Yes? Or so you? All of you so, right? I don't know. Okay, and the root of x plus 5 greater than 1. How to solve it? How to solve it? So let's square both sides.
Yeah.
Let's square both sides. Now you square, because here you follow the logical condition, right? Now you can square x plus 5 is greater than 1. And x plus 5 should always be positive, right? So you might take that condition, saying x plus 5 is greater than 0, which has no sense. Why? Because it's always greater than 0, always greater than 1, right? It means it's positive always, right? Yes, no need to take that. So it means your x plus 5 is greater than 1. Is the only condition, only inequality, linear inequality that you have to solve here. X is greater than minus 4, right? Minus 4. It means x falls within the interval starting from minus 4 till infinity. Yes? So in general form, before that, before general form, let's look at another example. X plus 5 is greater than minus 1. So we have such axis.
Minus.
If added 5 and taken square root, it's always greater than minus 1. Actually, it's square root, right? It's always greater than minus 1 because it's always positive. Yes? So, it is always greater than minus 1, but don't forget about the condition that should be taken here for the root, okay? For the root. X plus 5 should be positive. Yes? From this one. X should be positive. So, your x is greater than or equal to minus 5. Your x falls within the interval of starting from minus 1, minus 5. Minus 5 included till infinity, right? Yes? So, what is general formula for them? Before that, you have to know affix and jx. What does it mean? Affix and jx. Affix and jx are the functions or expressions related to the variable of x only, okay? What does it mean? Your affix, so variables, functions. Functions reflecting expressions of x, okay? So your affix is, let's say, x squared plus 5x plus 3, all depends on x, okay? Jx is also the same as a function of x, but is not the same as affix. Let's say x plus 5, okay? X'ga bog'liq funksiyalar bular. Faqat x'liklar, okay? Y yo'q, a'si, b'si yo'q. Faqat x'ga bog'liq f funksiya. X'ga bog'liq j funksiya, okay? Faqat fx jx deb kirgizamiz. Sababi nimaga? Fx jx ga teng bo'lmagan narsa, okay? X squared plus 5x plus 3, here we have x plus 5. Okay? Tushunarlimi? Bu prosta umumiy formula yaratish uchun fx jx qilib ishlatamiz biz. Mana bu fx degani x lik narsa, jx ham x lik narsa, okay? X ga bog'liq funksiyalar. Shunday deb tushunsangiz, that's it, okay? So it means under the root of fx greater than a is a constant number that has no x contained within. If your a is positive, if it's positive, you square that number, fx greater than a squared. Okay? We have done the same here. You have squared it and solved it. Union, if your a is negative, so what are you gonna do? If your a is negative, what are you gonna do? So it's minus 1, let's say. It's always greater, it's always positive, right? So you just take the condition of root being greater than or equal to 0. So fx is greater than or equal to 0. If you have equality sign here, you will have it here too. Okay? So it depends on the value of a. If a is positive, you use it. If your a is negative, you use it. Okay? This is a general formula for this inequality. Have you understood it? No? Okay, let's look at an example exercise. Under the root of x plus 1 is less than 2. We have talked about greater than, but it's less than. So what do you do?
Simultaneous.
Yeah.
X plus 1 less than. Okay.
X plus 1 less than 4. Yes? What is next? You take x plus 1, it should be positive, and you solve it. Okay? So for the first one, x is less than 3. For the second one, x is greater than or equal to 1, minus 1, right? So it means your x, you have such x that is greater than minus 1 and less than 3. It means minus 1, 3, minus 1 included, greater than minus 1 and less than 3. So less than 3 and greater than minus 1. Your x falls within the interval starting from minus 1 till 3. 3 is not included. Okay? So if you have, let's say, under the root of x plus 1 less than minus 2, what are you gonna do? So it cannot be less than minus 2 because it's square root, right? Index is 2. It cannot be negative. You just take the condition saying x plus 1 should be positive, okay? And solve it. x is greater than or equal to minus 1. Okay?
Why minus 1?
Hmm?
Why minus 1?
Plus 1, it becomes minus 1. Yes? So your interval is starting from minus 1 till infinity. Yes?
Yes, yes.
Some numbers that are greater than minus 1. Alright guys, are you selecting? Yes? You mean yes? Okay, the general formula for, let's say, affix being less than a. Actually, it depends on a right now. If your a is positive, so if it's positive, you just square the number. Affix less than or equal to a squared and greater than or equal to 0. Okay? Union, if your a is negative, so you just take affix less than or equal to a. Greater than or equal to 0. Actually, if your a is negative, there is no meaning to solve it. You know, it is never like less than 0. Yes? So it means there is no meaning. If you take any number from this interval, it always fails to satisfy. So it means there is no solution for them. Okay? There is no solution. So Jafar, have you understood it? So copy it. Let's copy it. If more problems here, let's say 5F part, let's look at it. 5F part. You have equations. Equations, I guess, are easy to solve. Let's not create general formula for them. Just solve, okay? Let's raise both sides to 4's power. You are left with x minus 3 equals to 3 on the power of 4, which equals to 81. And your x equals to 81 plus 2, that's 83, right? Yes, they are easy. Equations of irrational numbers, okay? They are easy. Irrational equations. Let's look at 7a part. Cubic root of x plus 6 root of x minus 2 equals to 0. So you denote 6 power, okay, 6 index of x as being a, where your cubic x turns to be a squared. Right, a squared. So you are just denoting and replacing the numbers, saying a squared plus a minus 2 equals to 0, a plus 2, a minus 1 equals to 0, your first a equals to minus 2, and the second a equals to 1, right? What was your a?
A was
Minus
x on the root of
Yes.
6.
So 6 root of x and 6 root of x. So is it true? Hmm? No, right? So it's not true. What about this part? X equals to 1, right? You just raise both sides to 6 power and you get your solution being equal to 1, okay? So x equals to 1. Yes? Equations are easier, okay, than the inequalities of nonlinear format, okay? X minus under the root of x plus 2, 8, 1 from exercise. X plus 2 minus 10 equals to 0. What is the value of x0 plus 2, where x0 is the root, okay? It's the root of this. Under the root of x0 plus 2. So how to solve it? Let's say x plus 2 minus under the root of x plus 2 minus 12 equals to 0. Because plus 2 minus 12 becomes minus 10. We are just making them similar, you see? By adding 2. So if you denote under the root of x plus 2 being t, so your t plus 2, which has no root, is going to be t squared, right? T squared minus t minus 2 equals to 0 falls as the factors of t minus 4 and t plus 3. Your first t equals to 4, right? 4. Your second t equals to minus 3. So what was your t?
4.
Under the root of x plus 2, right? So if you equalize it to under the root of x plus 2, it has no meaning, right? So if you equalize your first t under the root of x plus 2 what is the value of x? So you square both sides, it's gonna be 16. 16 minus 2 is
14.
14.
get tired guys? 14. 14 plus 2,
16.
16, and the root of 16 is
4.
okay. Go on, yeah. So,
Yes, this. Chiqib ketamiz
this is your part on the yaxshi.
Мозги не успевают.
Muzika xalq kelyapti.
Не
Siz
успевает.
aytasiz, miyam to'lib ketadi.
Tabiatda ko'ringuncha siz уже boshqa.
So'lsa yaxshi miyangiz qarang. To'lib boryapti. Ha, pamit to'lyapti. Yaxshi emas.
Ko'proq xotirani
When will it be finished?
Time is up.
I have questions.
And the root of x plus 1, let's say 2x minus 1 greater than x. How to solve it, guys? How to solve it?
In the brackets, in the square.
So how to solve it? How to solve it?
Square.
So it depends on the value of x, right? If your x is negative, if it's negative, so let's say it's minus 5 or minus 10. So it is always greater than minus negative number, right? It's always greater. So you take 2x minus 1 being greater than or equal to 0. This is the first condition. So if your x is positive, let's say 5. So you raise it to square power, right? 2x minus 1 greater than or equal to square of x, right? Then what is the next condition? You have to take 2x minus 1 being positive. Do we need it? No, you don't need it because 2x minus 1 is greater than some numbers that is greater than 0, right? X squared is greater than 0, right? At least equal to 0. So 2x minus 1 is non-negative number, okay? So you have to solve it, and unit. So how to solve it? Can we erase this part? Yes. So x is less than or equal to 0. Your x is greater than or equal to half. This is the first part, unit. Second part, x is greater than 0 or equal to 0. And okay, let's turn what is in the left side to the right side, saying x squared minus 2x plus 1 is less than or equal to 0. So let's solve first one. You have two numbers saying 0.0 and 0.5. So you have such x that's less than 0, and you have such x that's greater than or equal to 0.5. Do you have any intersection here? No solution, okay? From the first simultaneous linear inequality, we face no solutions, okay? And from here, actually this is the formula. Yes, x minus 1 squared is less than or equal to 0. What is the solution of this inequality?
1.
X equals to 1. Yes, you are correct. X equals to 1 and it's greater than 0, right? So your solution will be x only contains a single number. Okay, that's one. Have you understood it? Yes?
Yes.
Copy. We will erase and turn to 4.5. Okay.
4.5 doesn't exist.
Time is up.
It exists, guys.
Why?
I don't care about time, you know.
Maybe repeat.
Okay, it matters less for me, yeah. I will talk about that. Can we erase? Parangis?
The lesson is finished.
0.5 equations and inequalities involving absolute values. Okay, absolute values of the function. So before that, what is an absolute value?
Absolutely.
Okay, you know this one. What is absolute value? Absolute value is a model, right? So model makes some variables or some numbers, it turns it to be positive, right? So x might be equal to x when x is positive. Yes, it might be equal to minus x if your x is negative, right? What does it mean? If your absolute value of x equals to 3, so your x might be plus minus 3. Yes? If you take 3, model of 3 is 3. Model of minus 3 is also 3, right? So your x, x1 and 2, you have two solutions. Plus minus 3. Okay? What about this one? X plus 1 equals to 5.
4.
4, yes.
So x plus 1 might equal to 5. Or x plus 1 might equal to minus 5, right? So your first x equals to 4, your second x equals to minus 6. You have two solutions. So in general, if you have fx equals to a, which is constant number, so fx should be equal to plus minus 8. Okay? So plus 5 minus 5. Plus 3 minus 3. Okay? What about this part then? Module of x plus 1 equals to module of x. That's how to solve it. In both sides we have modules, right? It's in general form as module of fx equals to module of jx, right?
Minus plus 6.
So let's square both sides, okay? This is first math. You can square both sides, x plus 1 squared equals to x squared. Okay, where did modules go? From the operation of saying module of a squared, right? Equals to a module squared equals to a squared, okay? This is from modular operations. A square module equals to module of a squared equals to a squared. They are the same, okay? And let's continue here. X plus 1 squared means x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals to x squared, and there is a cancellation, and your 2x equals to minus 1, and your solution is minus 1 over 2, minus 0.5, right? So the solution here will be f square x equals to j square x, okay? Yes? Okay, this is the first method. So what is second method?
А почему x, да,
Where you mean?
is the second?
Here.
Да,
Here. So you are squaring it.
but not x squared.
Ah, because you are squaring all of them, you see? All of them. It means you put 2 here, okay? All of them. Or you can write f x being squared equals to jx being squared, okay? You are squaring all, that's why you are putting it in the middle, okay? So, what is the second method? Module of x plus 1 minus module of x equals to 0. So we are bringing module of x to the other side, okay? To the left side. How to solve it?
We have to square it.
Square. Okay, we have solved it by using the square, okay? Square method. First method. Second method, we are bringing jx to the other side with negative sign. So how to solve it?
Minus x plus.
You can use it using method of intervals. Okay, we have covered method of intervals in inequalities, right? Inequalities. But we are having equality here. Okay, why do we need method of intervals? To define the change in the signs of fx and jx, okay? So let's write the numbers which makes these modules equal to 0, minus 1 and 0, right? So we have divided this axis into 3 intervals, right? The first interval where x is less than or equal to minus 1, the first interval, right? if your x is less than or equal to minus 1, let's
It's
say
negative.
minus 5. So if you take minus 5, it is negative, right? If it's negative, so you open it with minus sign, okay? Minus x plus 1, it means minus x minus 1, right? So if you take minus 5, it's negative 2. So if you take minus x, minus minus, it becomes plus x, right? Equals to 0. So here minus 1 equals to 0. Is there any meaning from this? Is there any meaning from it?
Yes.
Yes?
0. No.
No, right?
There is no cancellation.
Okay. The next interval is your x greater than minus 1 or less than or equal to 0. Yes? This is second interval, this is the first interval, this is third interval. We have done with our operation is the first interval and we are talking about second, okay? So, can you take any number and put and tell me the sign of this modules? Absolute values. Let's take minus 0.5.
1.
Okay. Minus 0.5. Here we have positive number, right? X plus 1. And minus 0.5, it is negative number. It becomes plus x equals to 0. Your 2x equals to minus 1. Your x is minus 0.5. So, you have to check whether it is within this interval, okay? Is it in this interval? We are solving for second. Is it in this interval? Yes, it is. Then it's your solution, okay? So let's turn to the third one because you might have another solution from the third one. Your x is greater than 0. So it's greater. If it's greater, let's say 5, let's say 10. They all are positive. X plus 1 minus x equals to 0. So 1 equals to 0. Is there a meaning? Does this?
No.
No,
There is
yes,
nothing.
you are correct. Because there is no meaning, right? So we have only solutions that is solved using the second method, which is the same using the first method, okay? Minus 0.5. This is your
The first method is easier.
easier, right?
Yes, yours.
But you cannot use this method always. Because here you have linearity, you see? Linearity. If one of the variables, let's say, becomes square of it. If you square it, it becomes 4, and here you will have 4, there is no cancellation, and you face hardship. So you have to use second method if you have here x squared, okay? Still be
Second
easier for
method
you.
is used always too?
Yes.
Always, yes.
Yes. You can use that always.
It's like discriminant, yes.
For quadratic equations.
Yeah, this one is safe.
So
We are giving up. So,
x squared minus 5x plus 6 less than 0. Let's solve it definitely, okay? I know guys, you are tired. But let's solve it then finish, okay? So, but you guys help me. I'm tired too.
from through discriminant.
Yeah.
Do you wanna solve?
Yes.
Okay, you can tell me how to solve it. I'll solve it.
That's good.
Do you know how to solve it? No?
Może rozkryć?
Okay.
X square minus 5x
Okay,
plus
you have to look whether this absolute value is positive or not, okay?
It's good.
Agar modul ishlayotgan bo'lsangiz, absolute value ishlayotgan bo'lsangiz, siz faqat modul haqida qayg'uring. And that's it, okay? Shu modulni ochish kerak. Plyuslik bitta minuslik. Okay? Bitta plyus ochasiz, bitta minus ochasiz. Moduldan qutuldingizki, modul yo'q, ozodlik bajarasiz, okay? So 5x plus 6, let's say if it's positive. Plyuslik bo'lsa, qanday ochiladi modul? Plyuslik bo'lsa, o'zi ochiladi, right? So it means x squared minus 5x plus 6 o'zi ochilyapti. Less than 0. Lekin minuslik ham bo'lishi mumkin. Chunki 5x plus 6 plyuslikmi minuslikmi degan savolga javob bera olmaysiz. X ga bog'liq bu, right? Agar x'siz katta son bo'lsa, masalan 10, 100 va hokazo bo'lsa plyuslikdan. Bu plyus chiqadi. Agar katta minuslik son bo'lsa, minus 10, minus 100 bo'lsa, bu minuslik chiqadi. Ayta olmaysiz. Mana bu narsa plyus, mana bu narsa minus. Modul ichini aytamiz, okay? Moduldan chiqsa plyuslik chiqadi. Shuning uchun 5x plus 6 ni ham minuslikda qarash kerak, okay? If it's negative, then it's gonna be x squared plus 5x plus 6 less than 0. Minus x deb ochasiz deyapti, mana. If it's less than 0, so minus x, o'sha minus oldagi minus bilan plus bo'lib ketdi, okay? Medical. Here you have minus, and from the formula you have another minus, minus plus minus, this plus, okay? So you solve it, and unit them. So how to solve it? X is greater than or equal to minus 6 over 5. And here you have x squared minus 5x minus 6 is less than 0. So x is greater than or equal to minus 1.2. And let's factorize it. X minus 3, x minus 6, x plus 1, less than 0. That's the last exercise. X is less than minus 6 over 5. And here you can divide it into two factors, x plus 2 plus 3, less than 0. X is less than minus 1.2, right? And here you can use the method of intervals too. X plus 3 is less than 0. So you will solve it first, and you unit them. So how to do that?
Interval.
That's method of intervals.
6.
For the second one, minus 1 and 6, right? And there is no equality sign.
Minus.
Plus, minus, plus, right? Negative. So you take minus 1 numbers between minus 1 till 6, right? And your x is greater than or equal to minus 1.2. Where is minus 1.2? Here or here?
Here.
Here, right?
Yes, here.
Minus 1.2, it's included. So it's greater than. So what is the interval we should take care about?
Minus
Minus
1
1
to
till
infinity.
So you're not till infinity, guys.
Till 6. Till 6.
Yes, intersection point, the intersection interval is from minus 1 till 6, right? From minus 1 till 6. Both are not included, both are excluded, okay? Your x is less than, okay, let's solve it.
Minus 2.
Second one, minus 3 and minus 2. And use the method of intervals, plus, minus, plus. So negative, right? It means this part. And your x is less than minus 1.2. Where is minus 1.2? Where is it?
There.
Over here, right?
Yes,
Yes.
here. Yes.
Minus 1.2. So it's less than, it's 2. So what is the interval that we have to take care about?
From minus 1 and 2 till
Minus 3 till minus 2, right?
Yes.
Now you have to unit them. Okay? You have to unit them. Let's draw another one. So this interval from minus 1 till 6. Minus 1 till 6. This is included for the first one. For the second one, you have to include from minus 3. Where is minus 3?
There.
Here, right? Minus 3, minus 2. You have to include it. So how to unit it?
From minus 2 till minus 1.
Even here, it is not. You see, it's not shaded. Why are you gonna make it? So birlashtirish kerak da. Okay, union degani birlashtirish, to'g'rimi? Combination.
Minus 3 and minus 2 till
Yes.
2.
X includes numbers between minus 3 and minus 2,
And 1
and
and 6.
from minus 1 till 6. Okay. Inequalities like this, absolutely, needs attention, okay? Needs attention. If you have done mistake somewhere, then your solution will be incorrect.
It is only one, yes.
Only one problem, yes.
Yes, it is
So, have you done? Yes.
Yes.
Your home task is 4 chapter, okay?